Welcome, everyone. This is a live video broadcast as part of our Oneness and 12 Series of Life monthly program. It's great to be with you today. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team. We have just a super exciting program in store for you. I'm here with, or I was a second ago, with my very special co-host, Anna Marie Peters, who's based out of Pretoria, South Africa. Hopefully she's going to be coming on and joining us here very shortly. But I'm also here with our very special guest, Karen Noe. Karen is a New Jersey-based psychic medium, spiritual counselor, and healer. She recently wrote a book called We Consciousness that we're going to be talking quite a lot about during today's program. Be sure to stay tuned for the full hour because we have an incredible program in store. A quick introduction to Humanities Team as we get started. In Humanities Team, we believe that there is only one presence that we call the divine, that we're all emanations of the divine, and it's true for each of us in all of life. It doesn't matter how far our lives may be from reflecting this truth, it's still true. Our invitation is to live in communion with the divine and be an authentic expression of the presence, peace, and power that are our true essence. We don't need to be perfect or even excellent. We're invited to simply receive God's love and be an expression of that, each in our own way, to the best of our ability. In this, we add to the light in the world and we create processes to protect and nurture humanity and life on our precious planet. We can be intentional about this, so we live this way each day. And when we do this together, we create the world that we know is ours. Okay, concerning today's program with Karen, I invite you to go ahead and share your questions, observations, comments by placing them in the chat window. The sooner the better. This way we can get to them during our 60-minute program. Don't wait until the last 15 minutes. Because it's hard to get to anything that late in the program. So go ahead and begin sharing your questions and comments now. I want to just check and see, yeah, my partner and co-host, Anna Marie Peters, usually comes on here. I'm going to give her an introduction later in the program. When she comes in, I'm hoping that she'll be here momentarily, but let me just give her a little introduction when I see her here with us. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and just read you a little bit about the sphere that we're focusing on this month. As you know, the Oneness and 12 Spheres of Life, we're focusing on a different sphere each month. This month, our sphere is health. And I'm just going to share with you a brief blurb here about health. As humans, we have come to learn that what happens inside our bodies is directly affected by what happens around us. We no longer perceive ourselves as separate beings, but instead as complex adaptive systems within systems. Our concepts of health have evolved with our awareness, and we know that our thoughts and emotions have an impact on our health. This sphere, therefore, is perhaps one of the most dynamically shifting areas of human understanding. As our awareness of whole systems expands, we begin to see and experience the interconnectedness of everything to the extent that boundaries are beginning to disappear and taking us to unimaginable heights when it comes to our health. Caring. Oneness in health promotes modeling of healing in which personal relationships, emotions, meaning, and belief systems are viewed as fundamental points of connection between body, mind, and spirit, society, and nature. Oneness medicine embraces the recognition that human beings possess emotional, spiritual, and relational dimensions that are essential in the diagnosis and treatment of disease and cultivation of wellness. Okay, so that, and here's Anna Marie now. Anna Marie, all right. There's my co-host and partner, Anna Marie. Let me give you a proper introduction. She's coming live from Pretoria, South Africa, so pardon these where links get dropped and things. But she is the coordinator for Humanities Team South Africa. She's the co-coordinator for these Oneness and 12 Spheres of Life programs. She's a brilliant person, very compassionate, a leader in Ubuntu down in her region, and a great friend. And Anna Marie, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm so sorry about that scares. My computer just decided to shut off and to reboot and to do everything that it could imagine to do. And it just took so long, but I just stayed as calm as I could. And here we are. I'm so happy to be with you and to meet you, Karen. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right. And Anna Marie, I just read a brief blurb, but is there anything more you'd like to say about our sphere here?
Steve, you just did it so perfectly, so wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for standing in for me with all of that.
Okay, perfect. Well, and Anna Marie and I will be rotating here in a bit when we are doing this wonderful program with Karen. So let me go ahead and move now to an introduction for Karen so we give her a proper introduction. Karen Noe is a renowned New Jersey-based psychic medium, spiritual counselor, and healer with a 2-year waiting list. She is author of Your Life After Death, A Medium's Guide to Healing After Loss, and Through the Eyes of Another, A Medium's Guide to Creating Heaven on Earth by Encountering Your Life Review Now. Also, her most recent book, We Consciousness, 33 Profound Truths for Inner and Outer Peace. You can see on the screen a little picture of that book. And we're going to talk about this We Consciousness book. Boy, I highly recommend it. It's a book for the library. You can order it from Amazon or local bookstores. She's the founder of the Angel Quest Center in Ramsey, New Jersey, where she teaches classes, gives readings, and practices alternative healing. You may also have heard about Karen and her communication with Wayne Dyer since his passing in 2015. Her book, We Consciousness, is based on her communication with Wayne Dyer from the afterlife. It shares important messages, including that God is within each and every one of us, and we are all one with the divine, humanity, and all of life. And Karen does such beautiful things with plant and animal life. I'm sure we'll get to that during the program, too. So welcome to this month's Oneness and 12 Spheres program. Karen, great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All righty. Well, we're going to just jump right in here, Anna Marie and I. And Karen, maybe we can just begin. We were talking in the green room before coming on, and you were sharing that, of course, you're not new to what you're doing at all. You've been doing this for decades. And do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about how did you get started and including communicating with angels and things? How did this all get started for you?
Well, people ask me all the time if I've always been psychic, and the answer is yes, but not to the extent that I am now. When I was younger, my father used to take me to the racetrack, and I picked the winning horses for him. Now I'm an animal activist. I don't go to the track. But about 25 years ago, I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I sat at the edge of my bed, and I yelled at God. And I said, give me a sign if I'm going to be okay. And with that, I saw a light come towards me from the other side of the room. And my first response was, if you're not of God, please leave. Even though I just asked for a sign, I still said, if you're not. And I know we're all interconnected. We all have God within us anyway. That's a different story. But back then, this is where I was coming from. But the light continued to come towards me and eventually enveloped me. And at that time, I heard an audible voice that said, Lucia Lucina, Bella Lucia Lucina. And for those Italian listeners, they probably know what that means. It means light, beautiful little light. I have since learned that was St. Francis of Assisi in subsequent meditations and more meetings with him. That has been very much a part of me ever since. If you've read any of my books or follow me on Facebook, you'll always see the cute animals or the peace quotes. But right after that time, I started receiving messages from the angels and deceased loved ones. And I did not want to do this. I didn't want people to think I was not in my right mind, you know? But I did. I started receiving the messages, and the more I shared the messages that I was receiving, the more it gave peace to the living loved ones. Crazy messages, such as, you know, one of my first messages was something about a boxing kangaroo. And I'm in New Jersey. There's no boxing kangaroos here. And the woman's loved one was coming through. This was when I just started. And I think his name was Robert. And then he showed me a kangaroo with boxing gloves on. And I told the woman, and she said, yes, that's my friend Robert. He boxed kangaroos in Australia. You know, those crazy messages that I knew without a doubt. It was really the deceased loved one speaking to the living loved one. And then word spread. And eventually I was booked years ahead of time, to make a long story short.
Wow.
That's it. There's a lot of other stories, but yeah.
Incredible story. Now, Anna Marie's going to come on here in just one second, but I want to just share that we'll be connecting that St. Francis of Assisi, that he came through. There's a continuation of that, and Karen maybe can share a little more as this unfolded and what it's led to, including this new book. But let me welcome in again Anna Marie Peters, who's my co-host, and we're both kind of asking questions together. She's coming in next.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Yes, Karen, I can imagine it's inevitable, you know, for a person to have such a a powerful experience, communicating with people who have passed on. I think it's inevitable that a person like that then becomes a healer, like you have become. So we've got many things to touch on. It's not only about your experience and your, and how you go about this, and your, whatever happens with all of this, speaking to people who've passed on and assisting the ones who stay behind. So we have a lot of questions to cover, but I think for a while, let's stay with this aspect. And I know that what happened for you in your later years, I can't remember, Wayne Dyer died recently. One of the things that happened for you is that Wayne Dyer came through. You started receiving messages from him, and I mean, obviously, he's so much loved. He's such a great teacher to all of us. So everyone would want to know, how that happened, and what was it that you were receiving from him?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question, and it's kind of a long answer, so I'll try to make it short. But right after he passed, I was devastated. I didn't know Wayne personally. I was a fan of his, and I went to his events and I read his books. But after he passed, I felt that the world would not be the same again. I had his daughter Serena on my radio show a month prior to his passing, and I had her contact information. So what I did was I contacted Serena after his passing, and I just said, Serena, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad. Please know for sure that he truly is okay and would want you to be okay too. Ask him to give you I call it without a doubt sign, to let you know without a doubt that he's with you. Ask him to come to you in a dream and to wake you up after the dream so that you remember it. And then I said, I told her I'd love to send her a copy of my book, Your Life After Their Death. It talks about all healing techniques on what she could do to help heal after the loss of her dad. And if she wanted, so she emailed me and my book, etc. I sent her a copy of my book. 2 weeks later, I was scheduled to speak at an I Can Do It conference in Orlando. That's where we speak about our books, the Hay House Authors, my publisher. And the day before I was scheduled to speak, they were going to be doing a tribute to Dr. Dyer. So I was sitting on the bus with the Hay House Authors, waiting to go from the hotel to the conference center. I hope you could follow this. I'm trying to get there as fast as I can.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sitting on the bus ready to go to the conference center, and there's one seat available on that bus. It happens to be next to me, and in walks Serena Dyer and sits down next to me. Wow. So through synchronistic events, we eventually connected, and when I went back to New Jersey, she had her sister, who lives 40 minutes from where I am, contact me, and we were talking on the phone, and he came through on the phone, personal messages for her. And eventually I said, would you like to come? I have a center, about 40 minutes from where you are, if you'd like to come. And she said, yes. And then she said her mom would also like to come, and her other two sisters. So it was Sage, Serena, and Sky, and Marceline. And they flew in from Florida. And I have to tell you, it's a lot of things that led up to that event. I felt very insignificant about all of this, because if you know me, people who know me, that I still am very shy. You may not tell over the, right here, but I am. And when I started to first hear from Wayne was even before I connected with the family. And I said, I'm so insignificant. I feel so insignificant. And that's when I heard him for the first time. And he said, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. And I said, Wayne, if that's really you, you have to give me a sign to let me know it's really you. So this was when I was still in Orlando. I went back to my hotel room, and there was something very itchy in my shirt. So I reached in to see what was in my shirt, and there was a sticker that somehow had attached itself to my shirt, and it said W-E on it. And I have it here. I don't know if you could see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. W-E?
Yes.
Okay. And then I felt him, and I thought it meant first letter, last letter of Wayne, his first name, because sometimes when people come through, they give me their first and last letter. However, I later learned it was so much more. It was the we consciousness, which he subsequently started to talk about. But on my way over to speak to his family for the reading, I was driving to my office and a car cut me off, and it said Dyer 1 on the license plate. So I knew he was going to be coming through, and shortly he did. He came through with messages that only they would know, nothing that he spoke about on stage, personal messages. When they first came here, Wayne was so excited to talk about the afterlife, so excited to talk about the we consciousness. So when his family came, he said, would you like personal messages, or do you want to talk about the we consciousness? And he's all excited to talk about that. And they said personal messages. So of course they did. I would want to know from my loved one as well. But it proved that it truly was him. One such message was his daughter Serena was sitting there, and her belly was flat as a board. So there's no way I would have known that she was pregnant. She just had a daughter, Sailor. And Wayne said that she was in the family way, and he was showing me fireworks. And she said, no, I'm not pregnant. And I said, I'm just saying what he's saying. I'm just telling you. And he was laughing, and he said something about fireworks. To make a long story short, she went home and took a pregnancy test, and she indeed was in the family way, and she was due on the 4th of July. So these were subsequent many, many messages throughout the next months and subsequent year that he told me to call them at specific times. He has 8 children and a wife, and it would be at the craziest time, call them now, 6 o'clock in the morning. It would be at this time, call that, and there was always something going on with that particular family member. He was strong in life, and he's even stronger now that he left the physical body.
Wow, that is amazing. And you're saying, I'm picking up that you're saying that he was one of 8 children. Did you say that?
He has 8 children. So what happened was during the, after they came for the visit, he started to tell me to call Sage, call Sands, call Serena, call Skies, call Marceline. I'd be in the middle of making dinner, or for one example, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and he said to call Tracy, who was his oldest daughter. Call Tracy now, call her now. And I said, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. And he said, call her now. I said, oh my gosh, okay. So I texted her and I said, Tracy, I'm so sorry, but your dad is here. May I call you? And she said, answered me immediately. She said, yes, exclamation, exclamation. So I called her. I said, Tracy, before you say anything, he is saying, yes, he can hear you, but you can't hear him. Does that mean anything? And she said she started to cry, and she said she just woke up from a dream in which she was screaming at her dad, screaming at Wayne, saying, can't you hear me? So that's the type of things that he would come through with.
Goodness, that is amazing. I'm in goose flesh, but I just wanted to say I am one of 8 children, and so is Steve, as a matter of fact.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's something.
Yeah. So
Small world that it is.
it's amazing.
Well, Anna Marie, I can just you kind of springboard off of that and go into, Karen, these kind of next steps as we bring in Wayne Dyer from the afterlife, this whole aspect of we guides and we consciousness, and even these 33 concepts, and that's a lot to unpack there. But maybe we can at least start in that direction, because there's some incredible wisdom that came through, and you've spent a good amount of time writing an amazing book about this.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. The first year after Wayne Dyer started to come through for his family, he was very anxious to talk about the afterlife, not just personal messages, but I would be going on walks with my dog. And as I'm walking, he would tell me about the we consciousness and the interconnectivity of everyone and everything, and how what one does to oneself affects the whole, and vice versa. And the divinity and the amazing miracles that we could create in the world if we accept our divinity and all of that. So when I went on my walks, I would take my cell phone and just tape what I was receiving. It was something about nature that he loved to come through. I was at my best and I was relaxed at that point. But that first year, it was December, it was actually New Year's Eve. And I was trying to stay awake for New Year's Eve at 12 midnight. And I said, I can't do it. It was about 8 o'clock. I said, I'm taking a nap so I could stay awake. And I went to lie down. And as I'm lying down, I felt him, he came through for me. And he said, Karen, now's the time to do what you came on earth to do. And I immediately knew what that was, is to talk about peace on earth, talk about the interconnectivity of everyone and everything. Ever since I was a little girl, even when I was a young mom with my children, they used to call me, they used to say, Mrs. Noe has the Peace Mobile. So I'd have all the peace stickers and the oneness stickers and all of that. But I thought that the whole book was going to be channeled by Wayne Dyer. So he said, no, what's going to happen is he was going to join forces with a group of beings, collective consciousness called the We Guides, which would include St. Francis of Assisi, which would include him and other ascended masters and angels. And it would be hard to differentiate him from everyone else at that particular time when I was receiving these particular message from the We Guides. You know, he would still be able to come through for his family. But when he was coming through as the We Guides, it would be hard to differentiate him from everyone and all the rest of them. And they were going to give me 33 concepts about the We consciousness. And 33 because it signifies what they told me, divine guidance and the spiritual uplifting of all of creation. And they came through with these 33 concepts.
Wow, amazing. And I know 33 are many. Can you share a few of these concepts with us?
Of course. Yes, the most important truth is concept 1. And that is our oneness encompasses everything and everyone, including God, the angels, ascended masters, enlightened beings from other areas of the universe, deceased loved ones, animals, and nature. We're all one. Now, we cannot feel that oneness when we're here in the physical body for the most part. I feel like I'm here and you're over there, and we're individual. But in reality, we have our own personality, yes, when we're here on planet Earth. But when we leave the physical body, we could feel that oneness immediately. We could feel that love and the peace. And that's why when someone passes, they leave the physical body, they go through a life review where they're able to feel how they have affected each person through his or her eyes because they are the other person, if that makes sense.
It's amazing. And it's also amazing. I'm picking up the interest of the fact that it came through to you as you were walking into nature. We are so connected with nature, and I think we are able to pick up on our incredible oneness, especially when we are in nature.
Yes, because we're very much at peace, and hopefully you're not thinking. When I go for walks, it's kind of a meditation in itself, and I tell my clients and my friends, you have to quiet your thoughts in order to hear theirs, because they do come to us telepathically. Most people expect to hear a voice or to see an apparition of their loved one, but they don't have a physical body. Right? So they're speaking to us as energy, and they speak to us as thoughts that just pop in our heads. I mean, literally just pop in our heads. And if our thoughts are going a mile a minute, we cannot hear them. So it's imperative to set aside time to meditate, to quiet our thoughts, to go for a walk in nature so that we're more on par with the energy of who we really are, the divine being within us.
I love that, Karen, you share that after our passing, when we lose our bodies, that then oneness becomes so natural because they're everything we're actually feeling into and living from the interconnectivity. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because, of course, on the earth, this whole notion of oneness can feel so abstract because, in fact, you are over there and the nature is over here. And so this aspect that we're actually all a part of each other, constantly affecting each other, can feel abstract. And yet the We Guides are sharing, we've got to move beyond abstract because this is ultimate reality, right? Maybe you can talk a little bit about this.
Exactly. Yes, after we pass, we do go through that life review. We are able to see and feel how we've affected each person because we are the other person, you know, and that includes animals, all animals, whether it be a spider or whether it be cows or dogs and cats, not just our cute pets. They're all part of us, as well as nature is part of us. And when we see that at once, we see it all at once. We kind of know that when we're here in the body, if we hurt someone, we kind of know that it's wrong. And we feel badly. If we hurt someone, we feel badly. But the reason is because they are us, you know, and we know that in an instant. I don't know if you're aware of Anita Moorjani. She wrote the book called Dying to Be Me. She actually passed away and came back to talk about her near-death experience. She healed herself from cancer after leaving her physical body. But she said, in an instant, she saw, as if it was a warehouse, you turn on the light and you just see everything all at once. And we cannot see all of that here. You know, I just see you right now on the screen, but it's not just me, it's all of us together. And it's important, this is also important, many times when a loved one comes through from the other side and they feel that connection with everyone, they say they should have forgiven their loved ones here on earth, or they should have asked forgiveness for something that they have done. And it's oftentimes the saying that Wayne Dyer himself used, it's not the snake bite that kills us, it's the venom that's left behind. So if we can do that, if we could forgive, if we could treat each person as the divine being that they are, because we truly are all divine, we have to realize that, and we can create miracles on this planet and in our lives and the lives around us as well. We don't have to wait till we pass. We could do it right here, right now, and we won't have any regrets. And that's my purpose on earth, not to teach people what Karen Noe can do, but to teach you and to empower you to do what I can do, because I know you can.
Yeah, Karen, I know that in thoughts that we shared in email before a few days ago, you mentioned that this is one of the things that you use in your approach when as you're assisting people as a healer, as a spiritual teacher. And so one of the things that you do practice is the Hawaiian approach of Ho'oponopono, which is the practice of forgiveness. That goes, that beautiful mantra that goes, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. It's so beautiful. It's so important because that approach comes from a very deep knowing that I am, because we are all one, I am responsible. I'm responsible for your pain. In a way, I participate in all of this, and I can be in the company of a person who did something very horrific, and I'm able to say, I'm sorry. I know that I am part of your pain. I'm part of what happened to you. That is so important. You know, that we forgive others and we forgive ourselves.
Absolutely. And that's why it does work, because they are us. We are all one. The story behind the Ho'oponopono, there was I'm trying to think of the book, but it was Dr. Yu Len. He practiced, there was a hospital for the criminally insane that was, nobody wanted to work there. Nobody, because they were so violent. Nobody wanted to work there. They weren't able to stay there for long periods of time, the workers. And Dr. Yu Len came in and he just stayed in his office, and all he did was take each person's folder and he said, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. For each person. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And he did it one by one, by one, by one. Now, he never even met them. And do you know, one by one, they were healed, and eventually they closed down that hospital because it was no longer necessary. So people would say, well, how is that by him saying that he healed the other person? It's because we're all one. And he claimed that responsibility.
You know, I think, Karen, it is about how we see one another, isn't that so? If we see ourselves as one, this is really what we are confirming. In our African spiritual tradition, we have a saying that a word, it's a greeting, and the greeting goes Sawubona. And Sawubona basically means I see you. I see you with all of who you are. I see you, I see where you come from, and I see where you're going to. So I see you with all of who you are. And in that sense, we are forgiving already. As we meet a person, you know, we are able to say, because I know all of who you are, I'm able to live with you in peace and harmony.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. It says it all. If you're able to see through the eyes of another,
exactly,
that's what happens after we pass. We're able to see through the eyes of another. But why wait until we pass? Why don't we do it right now? Right now. And, you know, say you're going on the grocery store and there's a long line. I've seen people get angry if the line takes a long time to get up to, you know, it's the cashier's taking a long time. Perhaps it's his first day, you know, or perhaps he's going through a difficult time today. Don't get upset with him. Try to see through his eyes and try to live life that way.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So viewers, I want to just share, thank you. There are questions coming in and we're going to get to your questions. There are several here. So we'll get to these questions here in just a moment. But let me just extend this out, that what Anna Marie and I have been unfolding here with Karen. That one of the things in this book, We Consciousness, that, and also in the communication with Wayne Dyer, Karen, that you've emphasized, is that he said, you know, throughout my life, I was focusing on I am statements, and that it should have been we are statements. So we can maybe get to that. And also, just so we can get out of the abstract and down into real tangible things, that I know you talk about 5 easy steps that we can take to set our life-changing journey of peace and motion. Maybe, you know, after, we could also talk about that.
Okay. So what he said was, if you say I am, yes, you're reclaiming the God within you, that you have power, but by saying I am, it says you are not. You know, it's almost insinuating that you're not. So when you say we are, you're even more not powerful, because we always are powerful. That's not the right word. But we claim the divinity within every one of us, and we are part of the whole, if that makes sense. Right?
Beautiful.
No, yeah. In part of the book, actually, I asked him a question about we are and I am. If I could find that pretty quickly, I hope I can. But in any case, if I can't, that's okay. I'm looking down. Here it is. I asked him about I am, we are. And this is quoted, this was a channeled message from Wayne. It says, I now see that I am implies that you are not. It isolates you from the whole. When you instead say we are, you affirm from the perspective of being a co-creator with the God within all of us. Instead of saying I am, say we are. After saying we are, just add whatever it is you wish to attain. We are peace. We are divine. We are love. We are abundant. We are in perfect health, and so forth. Then watch miracles begin to unfold in your life and in the lives around you. Yeah. So that's what he said. But we could still say I am. People love it. But when you say we are, it's even better.
Yeah, wow, that is like super powerful.
Stephen, that goes back to the you know, the indigenous people just knew it all, didn't they? We can learn so much from them. And so going back to the African concept of oneness, here in South Africa, we have a concept called Ubuntu that I'm very much involved with. And our explanation, or the way we describe this Ubuntu or this oneness, says, I am because we are. And also from this consciousness, the indigenous African person, when you ask them, how are you? The reply will always be, we are well. Never I am. Never I am. It's always we are well.
Love it. I love it. Yes.
So that is beautiful. Yeah, and I am because you are. And I mentioned when I was introducing Anna Marie, she's a huge leader in Ubuntu in South Africa, which is bringing through these beautiful concepts of oneness in just rich and powerful ways. And of course, Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu are some of the leaders. But the region is full of this wisdom of Ubuntu, which hopefully is spreading now. So the 5 easy ways, easy steps here, Karen, what are those 5 easy steps?
Okay, the first thing you want to focus on on the positive instead of what is. So focus on what we want, which is peace, instead of what's going on in the world. Instead of, if you see on Facebook, people are posting all the negativity, don't do it. Don't follow it, unfollow. Focus on what you want instead of what you don't want, right? Why would you want to, when your thoughts create your reality, and what you're feeling and thinking is creating more of that. You're a magnet that's attracting like unto itself. So focus on all the love around you. There's so much around you. There's so much blessings. So you want to focus and plug into more of the divine within you. Focus on the positivity. That's number one. Number two, you'd like to pray for inner and outer peace. Praying is talking to God and talking to the divine within you, talking to everyone and everything. To ask for it, and then be quiet. That's number three. To listen. In any relationship, if you talk and you don't listen, it's not a good relationship. So you want to quiet yourself as well. You want to call the angels for help. And the last one is you want to send love to everyone, and I mean everyone in your path. Everyone, because they are divine. See the divine within everyone. Think like God. Focus on the positive, and the world will change in your world and in the world around you.
Let me make sure I've got those 5. I'll just read them back real quick.
Okay.
So focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
2, call for inner and outer peace. Pray for inner and outer peace. 3, be quiet, listen. 4, call to the angels for assistance. And 5, send love to everyone in your path. Do I have those 5 right?
That's right. That's right.
Fantastic. And these are things that are part of your everyday journey, Karen?
Yes. Not always easy, but I try to the best of my ability every day. And I am human, and I do. Sometimes it's difficult, but I try to. Yes. I'm there. I can't connect with those who've passed if I don't raise my vibration to be more on par with them. See, in other words, in order to hear and feel the angels and deceased loved ones, you can't be angry. You can't be unforgiving. You cannot. They're here and we're here. You have to be able to pick up on their signal. You have to raise your vibration. There was a point where during the last couple of years that there was one client who was giving everyone a difficult time, including myself. And I was having a hard time connecting to the angels at that time because I was holding on to unforgiveness. I was able to connect to the deceased loved ones, which are here, and then the angels are here. So I had to let go of it in order to be more on par. And I said, I understand. So yes, I do. For the most part, yes, I do follow those guidelines.
We certainly all need to hear this because we are human. We strive
Absolutely.
to live this. So it's wonderful that there are such beautiful teachers as you out in the world, and that we can be reminded of this. And we all speak this in our own unique way, and that way we hear it differently, but it's still the same message. So it's beautiful. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Karen, let me, and Anna Marie, let me just bring in some of the viewer comments here. First, Judith says, this is magnificent and perfect. Thank you all. So Judith, thanks for sharing that. Newt, is there anything, Newt is saying boxing kangaroo. Karen, is there something there that you're supposed to be talking about that Newt's bringing in boxing kangaroo?
That's it's one of my first, when I didn't want to receive messages in the beginning, when I just started receiving messages, I said, okay, I'll just do healing. I did Reiki. It's energy healing. And I was working on a woman doing Reiki on her. And as I was doing Reiki, her friend was trying to come through. He said his name was Robert. He said he died in a car accident. But then he showed me a kangaroo. When I say showed me, it's in my mind's eye. A kangaroo punching the air. And I, remember this is in my early years. I said, that can't mean anything to her. I'm not sharing that. And he just kept showing me this picture. And finally I said, okay, there's a gentleman here. His name is Robert. He's saying he died in a car accident. Her eyes got really big. And I said, but for some reason, he showed me a kangaroo with boxing gloves on. And she jumped off the massage table and she said, my friend Robert died in a car accident and he boxed kangaroos in Australia. So that's when I said, oh, I guess I'm really getting the messages, because I would never have known that, you know? And I've since learned to, no matter how crazy the messages are, to learn to give what they are. If I don't understand what it means, it doesn't matter. The living loved one would.
So Corin, this is, you know, what this makes me think is, do you think that this is possible for us too? You know, I mean, obviously some people are really gifted like you are.
Absolutely.
But I think in a big way, we all get these messages, but
Yes.
we because sometimes it's weird, you know, but you know, you get an image before you, instead of rejecting that image, what you're doing is to say, you know, maybe explore, you know, what is this image or this thought really mean? And that when you do it, you find that it actually really means something.
Absolutely. You have to trust your intuition. And as I said before, it's not about what Karen Noe could do. It's about what everybody can do. And I know that. That's my purpose on earth, to teach you how to understand and to tap into the God within you, and to tap into everyone and everything. And how do you do that? You raise your vibration. You quiet your thoughts so you're able to hear what they're saying. And again, it won't necessarily come as a voice. It'll come as that gut feeling. Do this, don't do that, right? Our loved ones are giving us signs. I call them without a doubt signs. They give us signs all the time. And if we ask them, give me a sign to let me know that you're with me. Be patient and wait, and the sign will come when you least expect it. It will be an amazing sign, something that normally wouldn't happen. So trust in yourself. Absolutely. Every single person listening can do what I'm doing. Set the intention to do it. Then be more aware of what's going on around you, and make sure to take the time to quiet your thoughts every single day, to meditate, so you're more on par with that energy.
Fantastic. So look, Karen, let me bring in this one. This is from Carol, and she says, my husband has been with me since he died 23 years ago, talking to me, guiding me, sharing what's going on the other side, just the way you were explaining it. Also, I hug and talk with trees, and they answer me and teach me to honor myself. Do you want? It's more of a comment, an observation.
I love it. I'm so glad she's aware of that, and absolutely, her husband is with her. And by the way, for those listeners who are thinking, are we bothering our deceased loved ones if we ask them to give us signs? Or we're not, because think of it, if we're on the other side, and our living loved ones were wondering if we were okay, wouldn't we want them to know that? Of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking, Karen is saying, who else is in the We Consciousness Council?
It's hard to differentiate. That's a very good question, but differentiate one from all the rest. I do know St. Francis is in there, and that's this. I have to, if we can share that St. Francis story, that was a profound story that I had in Assisi. I know he is there, as well as Wayne and Ascended Masters and angels, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you follow Abraham and Esther Hicks. It's hard to see who's in there, but it's collective consciousness. It's all higher vibration trying to connect with us, trying to let us know that we truly are all one.
Mm-hmm. And
Beautiful.
Corin, staying with the whole question of nature and the environment that is so much part of us, and we see, you know, it's we're all talking about the fact that, you know, we are not taking care of the planet. I know that you have specific steps that you suggest people take to protect our beautiful planet.
Oh
Can
my
you
gosh.
share those with us?
Well, there's so many things that we can do. The first one, I used to tread lightly with this one, but I'm going to be strong in this. Becoming a vegan would be a very big thing to do. And I know not everybody resonates with what I'm saying. And again, if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, don't accept it. But I'll tell you from what I've learned all of this. It's important because the animals are a part of us and nature are a part of us. And when we, if we could live happy and healthy lives without hurting or harming anyone or anything, why wouldn't we? That's what I say. And we can. And I could write a whole book about how to do that, but that would be amazing for the environment. That's the number one thing that we can do. I talk about all the, what people with the cows and all of that, what we're doing to the planet by eating meat and everything. What we can do is put solar panels on our house. We can drive a car, a hybrid or electric car if we can. Ride a bike instead of driving a car if you may. Do everything in your power to don't cut down trees, plant trees, all of that. That nature is part of us. Why would we want to destroy us if we don't have to?
All the stuff we know, isn't that? We all know that. The thing is for us to practice what we know. I think that is where we often come short in.
It's extremely important. And again, the number one thing on the list is becoming a vegan. And I tell everybody, because when I teach classes to auditorium rooms filled with people, maybe there's 3 vegans in there. So I used to tread lightly because I wanted everybody to hear what I was saying. But when I say this I think you can hear, is that how about 1 meal a week not eating meat?
True.
How about 1 meal a week not drinking milk?
Mm-hmm.
Or having dairy? How about that? I know you can do that. And if you can do that, you're saving one animal's life.
Absolutely. That would make a very big difference already.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just keep bringing in questions here from viewers. This viewer, Joanne, says, my son passed tragically almost 2 years ago. And I know he is close to me all the time, but especially when I smell roast beef, which was the last meal I was preparing for him. Roast beef smell, his sign to me. And then Joanne says, one of the signs I must add, and didn't add to that. So do you want to comment on that one, Karen?
So he's giving you, Joanne, that's an amazing thing. He's giving you without a doubt sign to let you know he's with you. And if you're not able to feel him, he's going to make that smell so that you recognize it right away. That was the last meal that you had with him. So that's his way of letting you know he's with you. How wonderful. That's a without a doubt sign. He truly is with you, giving you that sign.
That is fantastic.
I'll ask just one other question, then we'll go over to Anna Marie here. So this is Alet says, are the dead not going on to other incarnations? Because I think the question there is if the partner is still there for 23 years, supporting them, then is that inconsistent with the person maybe being born into another life?
The choice is ours, whether we want to come back or not. It's at that point we're able to say, okay, I'd like to come back into a body and learn whatever I didn't, compassion, whatever it is. You choose whether or not you want to come back. And it's not up to, we are divine, we are God within us. So we choose. It's not that God's going to say, okay, you go back to life, you go back to earth now, and you learn compassion. We choose that. So it's not inconsistent. It's our choice. We can be with our loved ones, or we may decide to come back.
And just to add to that, isn't it true that, we can bring in we're actually, there's no such thing as time. So we're actually in different lifetimes and in the absolute all at once. It's kind of hard for the mind to get itself around that. But that also addresses this listener, this viewer, I think, that it's not inconsistent that the person's giving guidance and so on, even though they're embodied, in many different lifetimes all at the same time, right?
And absolutely, as a matter of fact, that's one of the concepts is time is an illusion. Yes, it's all now. So yes, that's very true.
Yeah, and also when it comes to healing, the healing is, healing can take place today, but it also works backwards, isn't it so? So if there's healing in me taking place, and maybe it's an issue that has to do with somebody who has passed away, I can really see that release, the release of the injury, works backwards as well to that person who's on the other side.
Absolutely, because absolutely time is an illusion. So if we heal past, present, or future, it's all now. So absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so Steve, I wanted to touch a little bit on, the whole Oneness in 12 Spheres of Life initiative. Now, Cara, I don't know, we started this about 3 years ago, and it's been a wonderful journey. We've spoken to so many wonderful people over the years. And one of the wonderful results of this initiative has been the development of what we call new mean charts, so new energy charts around these different spheres of life. And some of our teammates, they went and they created these mean charts. I know it's Angela Duck, Steve, and there was Neumann Niemann, Valerie Wilhelm, I want to mention them, and Laurie Highland. because they did so well with this, Steve. And every now and then I have a look at these. But what's very interesting when I look at these meme charts is what they do is they compare our old way of thinking with our new, what they call quantum-based thinking. As we're moving more and more into this oneness when we're thinking about the different spheres of life. And what's wonderful to see is how love and heart comes flowing through especially when we're talking about the health sphere today. And I had a look at this meme chart today, Steve, and the beautiful words there that speaks to this the we consciousness that Karen speaks about and that she writes about. Words such as what we're seeing coming through when we're talking about health is interdependence systems, multi-dimensional perspectives and being, co-creative efforts, collaborative relationships, the role of education and responsibility and so on. So that, so I can really see that we are moving away from the disease-based ideas and rigid protocols to the we consciousness. And it's wonderful to see all of this coming together, and it's wonderful to see how our initiative also plays a great role in making this happen, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that in, Anna Marie. Yeah, that's beautiful. These memes that tie to this work and that are increasingly being discussed and observed and even embodied and expressed in this world. This shift and awakening that we all talk about is real, isn't it? In the media, we don't see that much evidence of it, in at least mainstream media, but this shift is happening. We're coming into this full expression of divinity, aren't we?
Yeah, the language is changing as well, as Karen says. It's not I, but the whole language around the we consciousness, everything moves with it, and with that happens the healing as well.
Yeah, even right now in this moment, and it almost could feel like a spiritual experience, but right in this very moment, we can feel into all of these things that we've just talked about, this incredible divine energy that's the glue that connects us all. I'm looking out the window at plant life and the beautiful weather. It's all here now, and if we just have the discipline to come out of this whole mental hamster wheel state with checklists of do this and do that and do this and do that, then we can experience this heaven on earth with all of the kinds of things that we're talking about. And Karen, I love that you, in your work, you're constantly bringing it back to, yes, I can do this, but that's not why I'm here. You can do it. All of you can do it. It's part of the human capacity. It's who we are.
Right. That's right. And I just reclaim the power within you. If we all have God within us, we're God, right? It's hard to say that. Most people say, oh, I can't say that. But when you could say that, you could create miracles in your life and in the lives of others. Mm-hmm. Reclaim your power, right?
Yeah. And you also, know that you, the aspect of self-love is very important to you.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that so?
It's prerequisite
for us to ponder about the self-love.
You can't give anyone else love if you don't have it for yourself. It begins within you. So as I was talking about before, I was insignificant, and I said all of that. And when I met Wayne Dyer and I was saying, I'm so insignificant, and he said, get out of your own way. That's what we need to do. We need to get out of our own way. We have to understand we are just as important as everyone else. We're part of the we consciousness. It's not just everyone else. And a lot of us peacemakers, we're trying to make peace with everyone else, but we have to be included in that as well.
Oh, yes,
we have to do.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do. That's where it all starts. Boy, Anna Marie, thanks for bringing that in. And we're actually now, I told you this hour was going to go so fast. So maybe if there's just a minute, Karen, what you might want to share in a final minute, and Anna Marie in a final minute, and then I'm going to go into some really important announcements we want to get to here.
Okay, I just want to share with everybody, just realize that we truly are all one. It's not you're over there and I'm over here. You have God within you. Everyone is connected to you. And what you do to yourself or others affects the whole. And that includes animals and nature. And when you realize that, you can change the world. You can do it. And so can I. We all can. We can.
Yeah.
Karen, one more minute, and then we're going to go to Anna Marie. There's somebody, Jima says, Jemiah. She said, can you make sure Karen shares that St. Francis story? And do you want to share that real quick, and then we're going to go to Anna Marie?
Okay. I'll make it very quickly because it's a long one, but I went to Assisi for my birthday. And as I was in Assisi, only for a few days, my eyesight in my left eye went away. I couldn't see. I saw a crown of thorns in front of my eye. It was very scary. And when I was in Assisi, as soon as I went to Venice, my eyesight was returned. And when I came back, I the whole time I'm saying, what was that all about? What was that all about? And it has everything to do with self-love. When I finally came home and my son, I was telling him about Italy, and I told him about my experience in Assisi and about the crown of thorns that was in front of my eyes. It was a crown of thorns in front of my left eye that blocked my whole vision. That was gone when I was in Assisi. Anyway, he said, and I was telling him that, he looked at me, he said, Mom, I was just reading the Course in Miracles. And he said, he had no idea about this story. And he put a Post-it under this particular quote. He thought it was for him, but he said, Mom, it has to be for you. I actually have the quote here. And I was just blown away. This is what the quote was. It says, you look still with the body's eyes, and they could see but thorns. Yet you have asked for and received another sight. Those who accept the Holy Spirit's purpose as their own share also his vision. And what enables him to see his purpose shine forth from every altar now is yours as well as his. He sees no strangers, only dearly loved and loving friends. He sees no thorns, but only lilies gleaming in the gentle glow of peace that shines on everyone he looks upon and loves. That's it in a nutshell. So don't see thorns, see the love around you. See in a new way.
Beautiful last question and answer. That is so beautiful, Karen. Thank you very much. I'd like to just leave us with a call to action, Stephen. And the call to action is, once we know what is good, all that is needed is sheer willingness. This is imperative.
Amen to that. Yeah, thank you, Anna Marie and Karen. And wow, what a special hour with you all. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back and thank you some more. Also, Karen Palmer, put your email address in the window. She wants to have us be part of her Loving Kindness Legacies show, and we'll share it with Karen. We'd be happy to come on and join you on your program. So thank you. Also, thank you, viewers. Wow, so many questions and comments here flooding in during the hour. So thank you all. Been wonderful to be with you here. So let me just get to some important announcements here. One is that Humanities Team is a member of the Conscious Business Alliance with these 4 other NGOs. You can see the Goy Peace Foundation, Japan, Club of Budapest, Europe, and the Case Western Reserve University here in the US. And it's all about bringing these values of we consciousness to business. Isn't that cool? If you resonate with the idea, you can see the link here on the screen, cbenterprise.com or consciousbusinessdeclaration.org. You can go to these sites and read the declaration. And if you get an inner yes when you read the declaration, sign it, because we're really, we feel it's very important that we bring these values to business. As well, the predecessor declaration is the Oneness Declaration. Anna Marie here has been just a huge driver back into the early years of the Humanities Team. Invite you to go to the humanitiesteam.org website. You can see on the screen the declaration. Invite you to read it, and if you get an inner yes, invite you to sign it. Global Oneness Day came out of the Oneness Declaration. Upcoming programs that you don't want to miss. Next Tuesday on June 19th at 5:30 Pacific, and that's 8:30 Eastern, we're doing a free 60-minute program with Greg Braden. It's called The Science of Self-Empowerment, Cellular Consciousness, Heart Intelligence, and the Untold Human Story. Going to be an amazing free program. It's 60 minutes next Tuesday. This is part of a 3-part series we're doing with scientists. So then if we go to a week from Saturday, which is the 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific, we're doing a program with Bruce Lipton, a 60-minute program on Saturday, June 23rd. And then that following Thursday, June 28th, we're doing this 60-minute free program with HeartMath's Deborah Rosman and Howard Martin. So that's the 3-part series. It involves these 4 scientists. It's this webinar on the science of self-empowerment, which we think is so very, very important. It gets into the kinds of things that we've talked about here, but we're going to be bringing in the laboratory dimension of that there's real science that's peer reviewed that talks about how these things work and how we can create health and well-being and even youthfulness in our lives. So encourage you to be part of those programs. If you go to livinginone.com, you can register for these programs. They're free. And if you miss the live program, we'll send you the recording here as well. Then we're planning a retreat with Neil Donald Walsh, who's our founder, July 27th through 29th. It's here in Boulder. You can spend 23 hours with Neil. How neat is that? Over the 3 days. It's a real intensive where there's so much time that we invite people to talk about the conversations with God in their own life, how it works. And Neil is very personal, talking to each of the members of the workshop. It's only $297 for the 3 days. Of course, that doesn't include transportation or hotel or food or anything. But it's really, we think, a great deal. So also, it's only 30 minutes from the Denver International Airport. If you're in the Denver area, it's super easy because it's at the West Marriott. But if you're out of the area, there are a lot of people, including somebody from Argentina, flying in for the program. So take a look at that. You can see the link here in the window, this programs.humanitiesteam/spiritual renewal. It's kind of a long link, but that's the link that you can go to learn more about that program. This program is focused on living in oneness, so we want to just share briefly about Community Circle. We created this several years ago. It's only $10 a month. And all of these programs that we do, and there are over 300, some in video like this and some that are audio, are available anytime, anywhere to you and your family and friends. There's also a book club. There's a Zoom program like this where a couple times a month we come together in Community Circle and we share about our own experiences in oneness, what is working and what challenges we have. There's a private Facebook page, so a lot of stuff, and it's only $10 a month. If you go to humanitiesteam.org and scroll down, you'll see the big rectangle that says Community Circle to learn more. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. I want to just thank again all of you, the viewers, for being here. Thank you for being part of this program. You can see on the screen some of the people that created this program: Dee Meyer, Nanette Kennedy, Garth Catterall, who's one of the producers, Christine Glenn, also producer. Both of them are here now. Caroline Chang. So thank you to the whole team that makes these possible. Anna Marie Peters, thank you she co-hosts these programs and has been for years, as she shares. So thank you to all of the team that's a part of this. And in closing, just want to invite all of us to really live as one. It's ultimate reality. That's what we're sharing here. And of course, we're all going to do this in our own way. When we do this, we draw in this presence and peace and power, the divinity that is our true essence. Okay, we'll see you next Tuesday, June 19th. This is coming Tuesday, 5:30 Pacific, when we're back on the air with Greg Braden for the Science of Self-Empowerment program. And Karen, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Such a privilege and pleasure to be with you all for the hour.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Thank you again, Karen, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewers. Yeah, I hope to see you next Tuesday. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.